Comic Book Savant, episode 462. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This episode, we're going to be doing a countdown episode. Some of you guys asked me on the Facebook group about when I asked for episode suggestions. You asked me a lot about what were some of my favorite comic book series and movies and things like that, and what were some of my favorite comics for the past 5 years, 10 years. And since we're now in 2020 and we're in a whole new decade, it did cause me to reflect. I do top 10s, and now the top 10 episodes have changed over to countdown episodes. And a lot of those things that you guys suggested, I realized looking back that I hadn't done, or a lot of top 10 lists that I did way back in the day before I switched everything over to countdown. I haven't refreshed those things in 5, 6, 7, 8 years, so I'm going to be doing a series of these countdown episodes where I talk about some of my favorites, because you guys are definitely interested in it. You definitely vocalized it to me, so we're gonna have fun with some upcoming countdown episodes, looking back at some of my favorite things related to comics. This episode, we're going to talk about my favorite comic book movies of the previous decade, of the 2010s, the 20-aughts. I don't know what it was called. It was the decade we just left, so we're going to talk about that. Before I get into that, I did want to take care of some housekeeping right now at the beginning of the episode. If you listen to the previous episode that I did, where I was talking about the direction and kind of just talking about giving a channel or platform update for Comic Book Savant, it was a few things that I left off that I meant to say, because of I told you guys everything between me and DCBS In Stock Trades were kind of in negotiations. That's kind of still going. Certain things I won't be able to do as far as promotions right now that I won't be able to do specifically with them, but I'm still going to look to do on my own, to do giveaways and stuff like that. So when I was talking about last episode about your guys' help, any support you give is always important. One thing I'm going to be doing, I'm refocusing the efforts on finding other streams to bring revenue in for the show, so I can give back to you guys and keep building the show. It's not gonna end our relationship, sponsorship or business relationship, but it is definitely changing, and certain things that I was able to do before through them are no longer going to be the case. But I'm still going to do giveaways whenever possible, and I'm looking to already do some, because I want to give back to you guys. So you'll see different stuff coming up front, in the near future. Also, I'm going to be doing I'm going to try again. I've spoke about this before, doing Amazon affiliate links. So I'll have them on certain posts. So if you go to the website, if you go to comicbooksavant.com, I'll have a store page up with different things that I recommend and my favorite things. I'll have that page up on the website. And it's no extra cost to you, if you just to be transparent about that, because I always want to be transparent with you guys. With Amazon affiliate links, how basically it works is that if you click on a link that I have on my page or a post I make, be it via YouTube, if you watch the YouTube video, down in the descriptions I'll have links to different stuff I've talked about. Same thing for posts here for episodes, or even if you're a Patreon member, in the Patreon, if I make a post, I would have links. If you click on that link, even if you don't buy that particular thing, or you buy something within a set amount of time after you clicked on that link, I think it's normally 24 hours from you click on that link, whatever you would buy on Amazon, I would get a small percentage. It is a really small percentage that would go to me, that I would get, that would help with the show. So anything, anytime you would click on one of those links, even if it's not the specific thing that I listed, if you just buy something within that time, that cookie stays. And again, I get a small percentage of that purchase that would go to the show. And that's one way you can help you. It's no extra cost tacked on for you. It's just because you clicked on that link and went through the Amazon and you bought something from that link, I would get a little kickback, and like I said, it goes to support the show. So that's something I'm going to be implementing. I've tried it numerous times before, and again, because I was dealing with so much other stuff as far as my health and stuff, I didn't put a lot of effort in it. I know, and this is one thing I talked about the previous episode, is really taking what I do to another level this year. And I want to grow the show. I want to come out and be able to come out to different conventions and meet some of you guys. I really, and before, because of health and other things, I wasn't able to travel to do those things. I want to do those things. So again, this is just a minor setback with the modification or changing of the relationship between me and the sponsor, the longtime sponsor of the show, but it's not going to stop what I plan to do. I just need your support in those ways I talked about last episode, and I wanted to see. So if you start seeing like what are these links for, there'll be links to Amazon affiliate links. So like if I talk about a comic and you don't have it and you want to buy it, I'll make sure that I'll post, if you want the physical comic. And I know a lot of you guys, especially the message group, you're switching over to digital. If you want to do that, Comixology doesn't have affiliate links, even though they're an Amazon company, but I can link digital comics that they do have available on the Amazon site, like through Kindle, but they do show up in your Comixology account. If you do happen to buy a digital comic off a link I post, it will, because it's through the Kindle store, it'll show up in your Comixology account. As soon as you buy it, it pops up there. So that's just some housekeeping stuff that I want to talk about, because I realized after I recorded the episode that I totally forgot to do that in that episode. So I wanted to, so when you start seeing these things on the website, comicbooksavant.com, I don't know what I'll name the page, but it'll be a page there, and it might just be Amazon store or Amazon page. Excuse me. That'll have that listed there, but I will update you guys when all that is up and running. But by the time you hear this episode, it should be up, and I'll have links to it in this episode to direct you to that page if you like to support. But with all that being said and out of the way, let's get into the main crux of the episode, which is my favorite movies of the comic book movies of the past decade. And it's not a super long list. Let's see. I have 8 movies on this list, so they're in no particular order. So I'm just going to go with the first one I have here on the list, which is Man of Steel. It came out in 2013. This is the movie that pretty much started off the DC. I don't even know what to call it. DCEU. Zack Snyder. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this movie. This movie was very divisive. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought that I'm blanking on his name. I should have pulled this up. That's why you pull up IMDb before you start talking about movies, so you have all the information in front of you. But myself, being silly, forgot to do that. So bear with me for just a moment. Henry Cavill, I really liked him. It was kind of jarring because it wasn't the Superman film that you necessarily would have expected based on the history of the character. And everyone knows I'm not the huge Superman fan, but I liked this movie. I liked his portrayal. I liked the take that Zack Snyder took with the film, and showing that, he did have a human side. He did have to deal with bullying and different things like that. There was just so many different aspects that were touched on in the film that just resonated with me, that made me thoroughly enjoy the movie. And it's still probably, yeah, I mean, I liked Aquaman, I liked Wonder Woman, but I still think this is probably hands down my favorite DCEU movie, bar none. So, yeah, that's the first one on my list. And I think this movie, what made me even appreciate this movie more is when Batman v Superman came out, though, that the theatrical release of that movie was very flawed and not the best. I like watching those, and I think of those as one movie: Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, the ultimate cut, the ultimate edition or ultimate cut. I remember when it came out and I bought it digitally. It had both versions. I did not, in my rating of the Batman v Superman was, I can't even remember, like a 7 or something like that. I did not like that cut of the film. But when it came out on home video, they had the ultimate cut. It was, I can't even remember how much longer it was, like a half an hour, hour longer. So much stuff was cut out of that movie, and when you look at Man of Steel and Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, because you have to see the Ultimate Edition, it seems like a more cohesive story. You can see the progression of the character, and then it makes the Superman that we get after in Justice League, once he's awoken and after everything's cleared up, his mind is cleared up, that Superman, you can see the natural progression from each movie. But they cut out all the Superman parts from Batman v Superman, that it made it hurt the overall franchise, I think. But I think of those two as one cohesive movie. If you haven't done that yet, go back and watch Man of Steel, then watch Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, and it feels like it's kind of what I tell people about Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. Quantum of Solace was very a divisive movie for a lot of people and the James Bond fans, but I feel like that is one continuous story, and it strengthens both parts when you view them as one instead of looking at them as two totally separate movies. It picks up right where Casino Royale leaves off. So for me, I look at them as a whole, not as one separate entity. But my first movie on the list is Man of Steel, DCEU 2013. Next comic book movie on my list is Dread. It came out in 2012 with Carl Urban. Really, this movie, excuse me, it's funny because it's not the most, well, it's not the most, it's not really an original movie. Dread is basically taking the concept from Taiwanese movie, The Raid, or The Rad, as some people say it. Took the concept of that movie and basically put it in a Judge Dredd wrapper around it. But if you've seen the Raid, which around that time I had maybe seen the Raid like a year or so before, they take that was a popular movie, big action movie. They took that concept, put Judge Dredd in it with Carl Urban in the lead as Judge Dredd. It was totally, if you've ever seen that Judge Dredd movie with Sylvester Stallone and Rob Schneider, that from years ago, it's totally different. This is a more serious take on the character. You never see Carl Urban take his mask off, his helmet off the whole movie. What's her name? Cersei from Game of Thrones. I'm seeing her name. Leah. Oh, me and the stuff today. I'm trying to tell you, I'm batting 1,000. Don't talk about me too much when you listen to this. Please don't. Let's see. So Carl Urban, Lena Headey. Leah Headey is the villain in the movie, and basically the gist is Dredd is, and he has a new partner. I think his first day being partnered up with this with Olivia Thirlby. They're matched up, and they have this call to this mega apartment complex that's being run by Leah Headey, and she's this drug dealer that has control over this whole mega complex. And similar to the Raid, they have to fight up through the levels to get to the and it's so video gamey at the same time. They have to fight up the levels, fight their way up from the ground floor all the way up to the penthouse to get to her to fight the evil boss, and yada yada blah blah. Rinse and repeat. We've seen this done before, but it's done so well. It's directed by Pete Travis. Just really done well, even though it was basically a copy of the Raid. I mean, it really is a copy of the Raid. It still works, and it's done extremely well. And like I said, it's a fun movie. If you've never seen it, pick it up, check it out. You'll really like it. Like I said, it's unapologetic and it's just done well. It's rated R. It's only an hour and a hour 35-minute runtime, but it's a really good movie. It's a sneaky good movie um that people slept on at the time, but it was a really good movie and it should have done well. And it came out in a weird time. I think that year at Comic-Con, they did like a viewing of it and everybody was like, they loved it that saw it. And then it kind of came out in the theaters and it was just like, it was like a fart in the wind. It was like, no one, it didn't do it, it didn't have the biggest budget. It didn't have a big marketing budget. It was just a lot of buzz coming out of San Diego that summer, and they did viewings of it. Like I said, everyone that saw it at the time raved about it, but just when it finally hit theaters shortly thereafter, it was just like, yeah, nothing. It was so sad. I don't even think I saw it in theaters, and it was like, I think it came out. It's saying here on IMDb, it came out like the end of September of that year. So they previewed it in July at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was a lot of, like I said, it was a lot of buzz coming. So a couple of months later, it comes out, fart in the wind, totally just craps out. I think like a month later, it was on home video. A month or two before Christmas that year, it was out on home video, and it was like, and they were selling it cheap. I think it was like on sale for like $10. So I just grabbed it. I was like, even though I hadn't seen it, I grabbed it and loved it. It was one of the better comic book movies that year, but just no one heard about it, and it's had a cult following over the subsequent years, and it doesn't even seem like that long now that it came out all the way back in 2012, because it just seems like yesterday it was a thing, but that's like 8 years ago now. It's crazy that it's been that long, but it's really good. And it was rumors that they were going to do a Dread 2. Then it was supposed to be, and I don't know if it's still on or not, it was supposed to be a show in development, and Carl Urban was actually going to come back to reprise the role. And maybe it was going to be on Netflix. I think maybe. I don't know if it's still on or not. It's like it was a couple years ago, and it's kind of faded out. Now Carl Urban has The Boys that is on Amazon Prime, so I don't like even know now, because he didn't have a lot going on at the time. He was open to do it, but now with the success of season 1 of The Boys, they've already shot season 2. Who knows if we'll ever get it, or if he'll go back to the role, but he did a great job with it. But I've talked way too much about this show. Let me go to the next pick on the list, which is Captain America Winter Soldier. Came out in 2014. What can I say? Probably, depending on what day of the week you ask me, fluctuates as one of my favorite MCU movies of the Infinity Saga. It can fluctuate between this, Black Panther, Endgame. It can fluctuate just depending on the day of the week and how the wind hits me. Just that espionage spy thriller that I love so much, just done in the MCU with Chris Evans as Captain America. Then we get introduction to Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier, or Bucky Barnes, and just the whole nuance and just the vibe of that movie. The Russo brothers coming on, they were unknown quantity. People were wondering, like, is this gonna work? They just shot some episodes of Community. You're giving them an MCU movie, and it's Captain America, and the whole MCU. I think this was a game changer for the MCU, because everything bumped up a notch after this movie came out, and I probably have watched this movie more times than any other movie in the MCU. Like when this movie came out, I remember when it came out on home video, like I was watching it like at least once a week for like the first couple of months after it came out. I just loved cutting it on and just watching. It was just so fun throughout, just the scenes, the fight scenes, just the comedy, the growth of Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow character, the introduction of Sam Wilson, Falcon, just all of it. It was just so many cool things in that movie. It's one of the most rewatchable MCU movies in my opinion. And I like still to this day, just talking about it right now makes me want to cut it on and watch it, which I might do today before the day is over. Next movie on the list is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This movie totally caught me off guard. This came out 2017. I remember it came out. Me and Miss Savant went to go see that in the or Mrs. Savant went to go see that in the movies, and how like blown away we were. And I'm trying to remember. I think this came out like excuse me, it came out 2018, not 2017, 2018. And I think we did a double feature that because it was around Christmas time. I think we saw Into the Spider-Verse, and right after we saw Into the Spider-Verse, we then went to see Aquaman. Yeah, they were back to back. How we did a double feature. So we went to like a 10 o'clock show on a Saturday, and the other one was like 12 o'clock. So as soon as we left one and we watched the end credits to Spider-Verse, we went in just in time to catch the trailers at the beginning of Aquaman. We went in one theater right into the other one, and it just blew me away. It was not what I was expecting, and all I could ever ask for and more. I think arguably it's the best Spider-Man movie ever made to date, in my opinion. It didn't do as well as I would like it to. It did win some awards. I wish it would have did even better at the box office because it was such a good movie. But I think it's had a cult type following, similar like to a Dread. Like once it got out on home video and the word of mouth was so strong, you hear more people talking about it, and they're ready for that sequel. I think it's coming 2021 or 2022. They've already announced it's going to be a sequel. They set everything up with end credit scenes, spoilers if you have not seen the movie. They set up something with the after credit scene setting up the sequel. So it's definitely more anticipated. I think the sequel will do about crazy numbers in comparison to the first one. And the first one didn't do bad by any means, but maybe or hopefully if it's anything as good as the first movie, it might be a $1 billion film. It should be, because I felt like the quality of Into the Spider-Verse should have been a $1 billion movie. That's how good it was. And if you haven't seen that movie, once you finish listening to this episode, you need to go rent, download, whatever, that movie and watch it right now. Buy that movie. You will not regret it. Even if you don't like Spider-Man, that movie's so good, you'll just like the movie for the movie's sake. Next movie on the list is Logan, came out 2017. This was thought of as the time kind of like the wrap up of the X-Men movies at the time. And James Mangold. What can I say about this movie? X-23, Laura Linney just killing it as X-23 in that film. I don't know. It was deep. It was a deep, dark, gritty movie, rated R. Just so much that was done within the film, like with the old Western, feel. Everything just worked. They made all the right choices when they were doing this film. James Mangold just really just knocked it out. Bringing back Patrick Stewart into the movie, how they tied into all the excuse me, I said Laura Linney, Daphne Keene, my mistake. Just everything was pitch perfect. As far as the casting. Hugh Jackman, looking better than ever. Seems, and it was funny because around that time, I think I went back and I was watching and talking about I think at the time maybe I was doing my greatest ranking on my favorite comic book movies of all time, I think. And so I was like rewatching everything that I was going to put on the list, and I had rewatched the movies, and it was insane to, if you watch the first X-Men movie to Logan, that each time actually Hugh Jackman was in better and better and better shape each sequel that he was in it, as he played Wolverine in. It was like insane. Though he got older, he got more fit and ripped and buffed in each of the movies. It's funny. It was like, wow, that's crazy. And but really good, touching movie, a fitting end to like the chronological timeline of the X-Men story that we got from the initial X-Men that started it all for Fox. In chronological order, that was like the end of that storyline that we got originally from that movie, of those characters coming to an end, and it was really, really done well. Next film on the list for me is Spider-Man: Homecoming. Um, just love this movie. Michael Keaton playing Vulture. Just um, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, getting that glimpse of him teased in what was it, Captain America: Civil War, and then getting his full movie. We're already invested in him from that small introduction we had in Civil War. Him getting his own movie, that whole um 80s, teen, that take the approach they took on it. Um, all they picked made all the right choices, and it just came together to make a really good, compelling movie. And it is a movie I can watch over and over again as well. Just a good movie and a good fit, though it wasn't. It tied into the MCU, though it was done by another studio. Them coming together and how they came together and did such a good balance, I really enjoyed it. Um, and just a heck of a rewatchable movie. And just Michael Keaton's performance and him and Tom Holland, like their chemistry together, which is awesome. Next movie on the list for me is X-Men: Days of Future Past. Came out in 2014. Um, I think it is the best X-Men movie, or maybe tied with X2, X-Men United. I think that's X-Men United. I think they're tied for like my favorite all time out of the Fox X-Men films. And I mean, you could throw Logan in there, but just like the main titles, I think it's tied for the best. I think I could be wrong. Don't hold me to it. Um, I'm trying to see here. Yeah, X2, X-Men United. Yeah, it's probably tied with that. And I've seen both movies recently, in the past couple of years, and they still, X2 still holds up surprisingly. I think X2 holds up better than even the original X-Men 2000 X-Men movie. Um, but yeah, I think it's just a great movie, blending the First Class universe that they had set up with the original X-Men universe, and how they crossed those over and tied all that together, and bringing both casts in together really just was done well. Yeah, that's a good one. I really like that one. And last but not least on my list is Avengers Endgame. Just after 23 movies, a culmination of 10 years, 23 movies, to be able to do that and stick the landing on it, just, it had to be on the list. Had to be the last movie I talked about. I talked about it in depth in my actual review of the movie that I did last year. Spoiler review that I did. It's so hard to do that, even in a trilogy, but to do that with 23 separate interconnected films, making one overarching narrative, and then to be able to pay off pretty much all of it, or the majority of everything that you've built throughout those different movies, is just a feat in itself that probably will never be able to be duplicated with the same level of success ever again. We witness history and being a part of the MCU and the Infinity Saga. People will try, but I think people will fail. And I think Marvel might even try again, and they probably will fail, because it was just so groundbreaking and historical. Um, but if anyone can come close to doing as well, but I just don't think it might hit the same level of level of success. It'll come close, but I don't know if hopefully it'll meet. I don't know if it'll ever surpass what we just experienced, and it'll be the first, and because it's gonna lose, and then everybody's gonna try to replicate it, just like everyone trying to have their own cinematic universe, and no one else has been as successful, not even by a long shot, as Marvel has been with the MCU. So we're gonna see that trend happen more and more going forward with whatever level of success. It remains to be seen. But it is definitely, we were a part of history, going along with them on the journey of them making these films and entertaining us. But that's all I really have for this episode, guys. Again, if you want to join the Facebook group, because I talked about it numerous times in the beginning of the episode, Just go to Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/ the Savant Society, all one word. You request to join the group. Once I see your request, I'll add you on. You can go in. I'll welcome you to the group, and then you can just do a post introducing yourself, and then we're just off to the races. It's just other fellow listeners of the show, part of the community where we all come together. I throw out things for future episodes and get you guys' thoughts on it. You guys contribute because I'll post questions that I'll then later will answer in an episode, or it's a suggestion for an episode that I do, like this one was. And we go from there. As always, you can go to the website, which is comicbooksavant.com. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at comicbooksavant. The t-shirt designs have been finalized. That is coming. I will let you guys know when everything rolls out. By the time you hear this, the store might already be updated with the designs, but if so, then you can just go to you can go to teespring.com/stores. Then it's going to be comic-book-savant is the store, but it's linked on the Comic Book Savant website. If you just click on in the navigation bar for store, it takes you to the store. And we have stickers, coffee mug, hoodie, and we have a Savant Society t-shirt, and then there's a regular Comic Book Savant t-shirt. But we have new designs coming in hot. So by the time you probably hear this, it'll be three more t-shirt designs, and I probably will do matching hoodies to them as well. And if you guys have any suggestions or recommendations on what other merchandise you would like to see, like the designs on, let me know, and we'll see about making that happen. And again, that's all I have for you guys for this episode. Until next time, you guys stay safe and talk to you soon. Take care.